My neighbor's garden is right next to mine, and I am not exaggerating when I say that hers is gorgeous and mine looks absolutely terrible. And almost instantly, seeing this side by side comparison, my brain can turn, oh, she has a nicer garden than me, to she's probably doing motherhood way better than I am. Which we know deep down is ridiculous, but we do this to ourselves all the time. We see one thing that another mom is doing really well, we fill in everything we don't know about her life, and suddenly feel this pressure to improve a part of our life that we weren't even unhappy with 5 minutes ago before this comparison. So I have started asking myself a really interesting question whenever I feel this kind of fear of falling behind creep up, because I've realized comparison has convinced me to chase a lot of things that I didn't genuinely care about. And then I wonder why changing my life felt so miserable. And if you are ready to get out of that comparison and really embrace the mom that God uniquely designed you to be, you can check out my free quiz. So whenever I'm faced with comparison and starting to think that maybe some changes in order in my life, the question I ask myself is, did I actually want this before? Like before I saw her doing it, or before I saw her wearing it, or before I heard her talking about it. Because comparison really tends to make us want things that we don't actually want. We want the new outfit, or we want the meal plan, or the beautiful garden, because we don't want to feel like we're not enough. We want to feel successful or accomplished or good about ourselves. Seriously, you could do an exercise and notice how many things you want, and when you really get to the bottom of it, it's that you want a certain feeling, because that's just what we're after as humans. We want to feel a certain way, and we think doing things or buying things or wearing things are going to make us feel that certain way, and that's ultimately what we want. At the end of the day, of course, it does not feel good to feel bad about myself while looking at this garden, right? I'm standing there trying to turn on my sprinkler. My hose bib is right there. And it doesn't feel great to see that. It doesn't feel great to feel that immediate, just like, ooh, like I should be embarrassed about this. What does this mean about me? What does this say about her versus me? And it's just really important for me to realize where that feeling is coming from. Why does that feel so bad? It's just a garden, right? But it's a very common part of the human experience to feel behind or less than as we interact with the world around us. And there are several reasons why. Number one, we fill in all the missing information. Seeing one garden, right? Just a beautiful garden becomes she's doing it better than I am, which becomes I should be doing that, which means, oh, she probably feeds her family from scratch from her garden, and I'm not doing now this whole list of things because I'm just kind of filling in things that I don't actually know. Secondly, I'm comparing one of my worst. Gardening is not my strong suit, clearly, and it's not the current, focus of my life. I'm comparing one of my worst to one of her best. She loves gardening so much, obviously. That's why she does what she does. And that's just never going to be a fair comparison because it's not neutral. It's one of my worst and one of her best. Also, our brains treat that kind of social comparison as really meaningful information. And even though there's no actual problem nowadays, we're just here being neighbors, right? We're having gardens. It actually feels very threatening for somebody to be better than me. And the last reason is the comparison becomes about my identity. So a nicer garden is the fact, and my brain jumps to she's doing life better than I am. What's wrong with me personally? Like, this is about me as a person. It has nothing to do with my garden. So when I'm feeling bad about myself in this whole garden situation, logically, I can think of a few options. Number one, stay in that headspace and spiral. And that is too often what we decide to do. We just can't get over how bad our garden looks, and oh my goodness, I can think of all these other things I'm not doing well at, and there's not even any second thought into change or doing anything differently. It's strictly just feeling so bad about myself, and we all can get caught up in that hole of just discouragement, disappointment. But number 2 option, we'll say, is to actually avoid looking at this garden. Honestly, not a bad strategy. James Clear in Atomic Habits specifically mentions avoiding and like unfollowing any social media accounts that tend to perpetuate the bad habit of feeling bad about ourselves. Like that's a legit bad habit that a lot of us have. And he talks about that. Like avoidance is a good strategy. If there's something that really causes us to feel that certain way, right? We're aware of some kryptonite for our self-confidence. Why not limit the number of times we're going to be exposed to that? And so there's nothing wrong with that. I could totally just try to avoid looking at that. But if you're anything like me, that still is on my mind and it still will kind of haunt me, you could say. And so then logically I would go to this number 3 option of getting to work on making my garden look as nice as hers, right? Also not a bad strategy. We want to improve. We are here to push each other, to grow and be better. And, I want to be developing other skills and like I can justify all the reasons why I should do that. But the problem comes in if I'm doing that strictly from a place of feeling bad about myself. The fear of feeling behind is driving this whole train of I should garden and I'm going to garden. Because the main reason I'm doing it is just to avoid that feeling, to get rid of this fear of falling behind. And if we know anything about our emotions, it's that they will just resurface if we're not addressing them. I know it doesn't feel good, right? But we don't want to be bound to having even more negative feelings because we're not actually just dealing with and addressing the feeling. It's probably, never quite good enough. And I started gardening and now I'm feeling really resentful. And but now she's doing this other thing. And so now I need to do this other thing. And it just kind of can spiral into this whole thing of essentially changing your life because of other people, because of what they're doing, and ultimately hating it because it's not actually authentic to who you are. It's not coming from just genuine desire. Because I don't have a desire to garden right now. I don't want to be outside as much as she's outside. Like there's a reason why I'm not gardening right now. And if I kind of sweep all that aside and just but no, I can't handle feeling like a failure when it comes to my garden. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And so I'm gardening from this place of fear instead of place of intention, right? And kind of positive energy. We will bring that negative energy into that garden. And when it doesn't do great, because it probably wouldn't, because I would, I'd just be jumping into it. Holy cow, I'm going to feel way worse about myself, right? So if we can allow ourselves to just feel emotions in general, we know that emotions are just vibrations in our body. They last about 90 seconds. And I like to just picture it as a wave kind of crashing over me. It just comes in waves, right? Because it probably keeps coming. Something like this is bound to kind of keep popping up every once in a while. But if we can learn that we can actually handle any emotion. I can handle any emotion. The fear is not going to break me. It doesn't mean anything about me. I can just name the feeling. Oh man, feeling fear, feeling failure, feeling frustration. And we name those feelings as they come over us. And then we can move on from that good, authentic, positive place. Which brings me to the 4th option in this scenario for me, which is to simply appreciate her garden. Appreciate the differences in our personalities and skill sets and life experience. I, of course, have gotten to know this woman, and I know we are so different in a lot of ways. We're the same in some ways, but our kids play almost every day. We're next door neighbors. They hop fences and play, and we have this really positive relationship. And we run our homes very differently. My son will be the first to tell you that there are some obvious differences in just how we operate and how we approach life. And it's awesome. I can truly appreciate those differences and acknowledge some of my strengths that are different than her strengths, different seasons. I mean, we're in a very different season of life, strictly age of our kids. She still has a 1-year-old, and I'm long since out of that phase. And so there's just really no advantage to me comparing our gardens and making it mean something about me. I know that's our natural default to do that, but if we can take a step back, notice what our brain is doing, and recognize I can just appreciate the garden. It's just a garden. Like, I can come in my house and appreciate, wow, I'm good at this thing. I'm really organized, or I keep a really clean house, or whatever are my natural strengths. That's what we can choose to focus on. And as we choose to focus on that, that creates our experience. I'll link the video where I talked about that. Anything that we're really focused on, we're going to see more of. And why commit ourselves to things that will just kind of lead us to really hating life because we're forcing ourselves to be a certain way. We're trying to force ourselves to be interested in certain things, or spending our time on certain tasks, when really we just want to be in the kitchen, let's say. You know, we just want to be playing with our kids. We all have different strengths, and that's what should be showing up in our motherhood. That's exactly what the quiz is going to teach you, and it's exactly what brings the message home of don't mother like me or your neighbor or anyone you see online, just mother like you.